And our show this week is how to get a job that pays more money. Some of you that are coming out of high school, college, or even the armed forces are struggling to find a good paying job. And I understand, I'm getting lots of contact from you and I'm getting your emails and messages. But you're going to have to stop settling. You land a job and you start working there. And then you just keep going into work and you stop looking. Today, I'm going to try to get you to stop giving up. I want you to keep going until you get the job that you want, making the money that you need to make. So, how do you get a job that pays more money? Well, I can tell you how you don't do it, and that's by not doing anything. The job will not come to you. So today I'm going to go through Bethany's How to Get a Job That Pays More Money plan. And I've invited a Generation Y guy to come and talk with me about this. And we're going to talk through his situation, and hopefully you'll get some ideas about yours. So the Generation Y, you are people that are born between 1982 and 2003. You know who you are. You're millennials. You are out struggling in the workforce trying to make enough money. And I bet you can relate to that. Royce?
Definitely can. Thank you for having me here.
Thanks for coming. So this is Royce Williams, and we're going to talk through, he brought me his resume, and we're going to talk through specifics about probably what all of you are facing. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
I grew up mainly in Oregon, and I moved out here for a job about last May or June. And since then, that job fell through, and I found myself working retail.
Retail, and I bet you probably don't like the hours or the pay.
A little bit of both.
Yep. I understand that. And what we're going to talk through today, we're going to talk through 3 different areas that are specific to you. Because what most of you are doing is you're genericizing everything, and generic resumes and generic content do not get you the job you're looking for. So we're going to look at your resume, Royce, and we're going to get as specific as we can.
Sounds good.
All right? And what we also don't do so well sometimes is advertise and market ourselves. So why do you think you spend more money on a Nike shirt than you do a no-name brand?
It's for the name. It's the marketing.
It's the name. It's the marketing. You think it's going to last longer. You think it looks better, and you spend more money on it. So we're going to do that to you. We're going to start adding a brand to you. Are you ready?
I'm excited.
All right. I'm excited too. You work in retail now, and your resume says you're a consistent top producer in sales. That doesn't really tell me anything. Like, what does that mean? Do you have numbers you can put to that? And I'm going to put over here under your strength and capabilities, I'm going to put top salesman. We're going to start collecting what you're really good at. So consistent top producer, I want numbers. I produced X amount. I brought in certain percentage. Give me some numbers.
Well, one of the hard parts on that is the fact that with certain retailers, you're not supposed to go over numbers. And so I have a hard time, sharing that with other employers. Percentages would be something that I definitely haven't looked into before, and I definitely should. For instance, in the month of February, I did 18% of revenue for my entire store.
Wow, that's great. All right, so you did 18% of revenue. And how many sales, do you know how many salespeople there are?
43.
18% of revenue, and there's 43 salespeople. All right. So and you haven't been there very long, have you? When did you start?
I started there in November.
Why do you think you sell more than your peers?
I'm extremely competitive, and I don't like being beaten anything.
You like to win. Liking to win is a key characteristic of top salespeople. So loves to win and hates to lose is what makes kick-butt salespeople. The companies look for people like that. All right, and you are, remind me how old you are.
I turned 27 in 2 weeks.
27. Do you think you're making the right amount of money for your age?
Far lower than what I would have ever expected.
Yeah. I would say you could make twice as much as you make. I think you're way undercompensated. What is a leader in 4K upselling?
Essentially with the 4K upselling, that has to do with the new 4K technology within the audio video industry. And I'm consistently the #1 in sales in there as well. and that has to do with selling my customers on the new technology that is in the.
So that tells me you understand technology.
I would hope so.
And you understand it probably better. So you know what you're missing from here? You don't have a skills section. You need a skill. We're adding a skills section to your resume. Always write down your skills. What makes you different than anybody else? You want to say, not just understand technology, but you want to go into the nth level of detail. So I would put for your experiences or your strengths, I'm going to put great at technology, but we're going to have to really drill down in that, the technology space. Now you have worked in, well, you put security systems in. You have an electrical bent, don't you?
A little bit. I like making sure things work right.
You like making things work right. You've assembled electronics. Imagine that it's this. Your experiences combined with your strengths and capabilities make you different than anyone else. What you do then is look at your distinct strengths and figure out how to then market those to the market. What most people do is they just write down the jobs that they've done. And what you're really doing on a resume is you're telling a story. What did you learn when you worked in this area? What did you learn that you can then use for other employers? So it should read a little bit like a story. Each one of your jobs builds something. You might have been the first place you managed someone. It might be the first place that you learned electronics. So imagine that the resume is telling a story, and as I read it, I get to know Royce better because I know what you've done and I know what experience you've learned. You might have used certain software packages, and so we'll need to lift. Did you use certain software when you were installing the security systems?
Very little. That was more of a hardware troubleshooting. It was
a hardware troubleshooting, okay. You still might want to list some of the hardware that you've worked for. You have a lot of technology. So I'm going to say from experiences, you have learned a lot of customer service.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon told me a story where you were at someone's house and you were putting in a security system and they talked your ear off and you maintained the whole conversation, acted like you were interested the entire time. And I heard from the other rep that it couldn't have possibly been interesting.
It definitely was not.
We're not going to hold that against you. Customer service is a strength. And I think after I've been in the store, and you know, I've bought stuff from you.
Yes, you have.
So customer service is very important. And I think you are amazing at it. Now tell me a little bit about the desires of your heart. What is it that when you do it, you love it? You can't wait to get back to it.
One of the things for me, like I said, I'm very, very competitive, is beating people at whatever I do. That sounds really...
Like being the top performer. Mm-hmm.
That sounds really, I don't know how to, really arrogant of me. However,
no, not at all. It's a characteristic of a top salesperson.
As long as I am either being pushed to be number one, if I have somebody who's trying to work really hard to catch me, that is something that really motivates me, and I really enjoy beating people at what I do.
So I think you're going to end up in sales. I think your best earning opportunity, if you like to win that much and that's what drives you, is going to be in a sales position. So figure out what the desires of your heart is and what experiences you've done that push you in that direction. And then what we do is we're going to build a brand for you. I'm going to take this one off, see if this tears nicely for me. Now this is the brand you. Don't make fun of my cartoons. I actually drew these. And then there's a reason I'm not a... Then you paint a picture. And this resume right now doesn't paint a picture of what you're good at.
Right.
You don't really want to succeed in a stimulating and challenging environment that will provide you with advancement opportunities. You want...
Good.
No, it doesn't sound good. I've read hundreds of resumes that say that. You want to secure a top-level sales position where you can be a top performer and outperform anyone else on the team that has maybe a technology bent so that you can stimulate what you're selling.
That sounds much more accurate.
Mm-hmm. I think so. What we then would do is start targeting companies. What kind of companies might sell something? and I can work with you on this, but you need to look, once you've decided what your brand is, what companies might sell something that would fall in this area. I'm thinking maybe expensive air conditioning systems.
Right.
Maybe, but what we do is we look at those companies in Dallas, Fort Worth, and then you're going to target them by getting networking right into those. So we're going to look at everybody you know, and you're going to start listing out what's unique about you, the networks, and we'll start just like when you're selling something. Have you ever worked in cold sales?
Oh yes.
Okay, we're going to do the same thing with your job, right? So we're going to get a marketing plan together. Once we've figured out your brand, let's see if I can do this without messing up my set here. We're going to get a marketing plan for you. So we need to we'll look at my network, and we'll look at any other. Do you have a LinkedIn?
I do.
You do have a LinkedIn. We're going to connect on LinkedIn, connect you to anybody that works for one of those companies that we target as possibles for your future job. You're going to network in. The jobs that people are getting today are through people they know or people that are 1 or 2 degrees away.
Right.
So your LinkedIn profile is going to be critical in this search. I talked to 3 or 4 different hiring managers that said they're not hiring anybody that's more than 1, 2, or 3 degrees away from someone they know. They can't afford to hire you and not know that you're going to be good. So then we're going to start a funnel. We're going to literally try to figure out how can we get your name into some of these opportunities. And it might be, you might have to go to a networking event, or you might just be able to send a letter to someone who said, hey, I know you know Bethany Williams, she knows me, and I'd like to introduce myself. I'm interested in a sales position. How might I get into the funnel for one of those positions? And in the next segment, we'll talk about building you a board of directors.
Sounds good.
So what we've done so far is we've started to talk through your specific skills. You sometimes you've gone to college, right? You have a 2-year degree?
I do.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you're using it, though, in retail sales, right? Don't you work with a lot of people that don't have a degree?
Pretty much everybody does not have a degree. And
So-
I'm older than almost everybody.
And you're older than everyone else. Well, we're going to fix that. We're going to fix that. I think what happens is sometimes we settle. Sometimes we get a job because we need a job, we have to pay the bills, and then we just don't even know where to start. So you're going to start with your network. Now, I know you've moved down here from Oregon, so you probably don't know a lot of people.
Right.
But you do have your stepbrother here, and you do have me. And what you're going to have to start doing is if you're going to a service, anywhere you meet people, you're going to start building a network. And you're going to ask them if you can connect to them on LinkedIn. And you're going to start building this network that can start referring you into places. That's the second key. If you think your skill sets will pay more in the market, and I believe they are, you have over 10 years experience, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And you're a consistent high achiever, so you don't have to settle. And what happens is we get a job and we just settle there. So what we're going to do, and I went back to the previous sheet, is you're going to do the networking, but you're going to do it a little bit differently. So I want you to literally make a list of all the people you know in this area. So I want you to put your half-brother down. I want you to put your step-brother down. I want you to put, you said you know Tina in real estate. I want you to put Tina down. I want you to put, obviously, me down. Then what you're going to do is you're going to reach out to everybody you know. And you're going to tell them a very concise, imagine it's like an elevator talk. Hi, you may or may not know, I'm really interested in finding a different job. I want to be challenged. I'm a top performer in sales, and I love to win. Do you know a technology company that's selling something that you could refer me to? For instance, do you know anyone at some of those companies that we wrote down on the one that's on the floor? 1 second. My sound guy is going to kill me, so shh. You're going to ask them, do you know anybody at Cisco or BlackBerry or Texas Instruments? Or Perot Systems was bought by Dell, so you might want to ask them if they know anyone there. You're going to ask them very targeted questions about companies that you would like to work for. And you're going to start when you're at places, when you're drinking at Chili's on a weekend, if you hear someone say they work for Dell or they work for some of these, you're going to stop and introduce yourself. You are going to have a laser beam focus on finding people that work at some of these target companies. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
It's a long-term plan. You may not get a higher paying job in 3 months or 6 months, but with a good plan, we could get you a better job in a time period where you are working a job that you love and you're moving in the right direction. So do you think you could call those people up and say, I'm interested in a top level in a sales position and I'm good at it?
I believe I could.
I think you could too. You have won a lot of awards. You've been Employee of the Quarter. What you have to do, and you're a great communicator, what you're going to have to do is get in front of the people that have those jobs.
Right.
And then you're going to have to sell yourself like nothing else. You're
Right.
going to have to be able to convince them why you're the best. You're going to have to talk about the 18% of revenue out of 43 reps. You're going to have to talk about loving sales. And you're going to have to convince them that it's worth taking the risk on you. So once you figure out those target companies and start listening for them, and you can follow them on LinkedIn as well. So you can see anytime they post anything on the LinkedIn channel. Then you're going to make a marketing plan. And that marketing plan is going to include what we just talked about, connecting to people and asking them.
Right.
You also, do you have any references on LinkedIn?
I do not at the moment.
You don't? All right, so imagine that your resume is just 2 dimensions. So they're a little boring. I work in senior leadership. I've read so many hundreds of resumes that I get like a sick feeling in my stomach when I start looking at them. I mean, there's thousands of resumes in the market, if you can imagine. You want yours to stand out. One of the ways that yours can stand out is people look for people on LinkedIn.
Right.
But it's the same way this paper is 2-dimensional. Think of LinkedIn as 3-dimensional. And so people should read your LinkedIn profile and know who Royce is. They should know you want to sell, and you want to sell like mad. They should know you're amazing at customer service. So is there anyone that worked with you at the Security Solutions, maybe your half-brother, that could put a referral for you out there and tell the story about the lady that you listened to?
I'm pretty sure I could have people, several people.
That's what you need to do. You need to make it so that when I'm reading your LinkedIn profile, I'm engaged and I think, wow, I can tell what kind of person you are, because you're more apt to get to the interview if they already kind of get an understanding for who you are.
Right.
It's free. There's no reason not to do it. So you're going to connect to people on LinkedIn. You're going to build a funnel of companies that you're interested in, and you are going to start targeting them. Imagine the opposite is true, where companies have spots open and they go looking for employees. What I'm asking you to do is find employers that you want to work for, and you target them. And you say, I want to work for you. Watch every press release, go to any event they have, and you start targeting the companies that you want to get into.
One of the things is that sounds like a lot of work. That's going to be something that takes a lot of time. And unfortunately, in working retail as I do, it's really difficult to go to a lot of these events Friday nights, Saturday nights, when that's when I'm working.
Yep. So I'm not asking you to donate a ton of time to this, but this is your future, and I want you to predetermine how much time you can spend on this. Maybe it's only an hour a week. And maybe out of a 6-month period, you can only make 1 of those events. So it's not about how much time you spend doing it. It's about just doing some of it. And eventually, as you're working on your LinkedIn profile and as you're making these phone calls, people will start reaching out to you. And they will start doing the ask. And people will know you ask, and they'll start referring you for positions. So it's almost like because you're making people aware, you start bringing the opportunities to you.
Right.
Even if you're not spending a whole bunch of time on it. But it's like anything. You went to college, you probably had to do a lot of work to get your classes.
I did. A lot of work.
And wouldn't it be worth a little bit of work if you got a job paying twice as much as you're making?
It'd be worth a lot of work to get a job paying twice as much.
So you're telling me you would do a lot more work then?
A lot more, yes.
So I want to talk to you about a board of directors. Companies hire boards of directors to help them make great decisions. And I suggest you build a personal board of directors to help you with your career. Pick 3 or 4 people that you've worked with that could help you and you could ask questions of on occasion, and they will help manage your career for you. In this marketplace, it's just a tough market, and you need people looking out for you. So all you do is call them up and say, if I called you on occasion, would I be able to ask you questions about my career? And you would ask these people, do you know anybody at Perot? Do you know anybody at Dell? Do you know anyone at Cisco or TI?
Right.
And they would help you with how much money you should be making. They'd help you with any certifications you might need. Do you think you could do that?
I definitely could.
Awesome. Awesome. You've been watching 3 Days to a Raise, and Royce is going to come back and visit us after he gets that amazing job, because I know he's going to, aren't you?
I am.
Because you're going to do the work.
Double the work.
Double the work. Thanks for joining us this week on the 3 Days to a Raise, and I hope that you get a job that pays more money.